we were just talking about the book, and I also showed you that you can see a lot of kind of empty space between the lines. And I was just asking David a few questions about the book. So on the one hand, who's Bodhidharma? What motivated you to write the book? And you also told me you wrote pretty fast. So how was the process behind that? And then about the gaps, again, as a reader, what I understood is that it lets you think, right? In most books, you have like a narrative, you have a page, here and there you have a gap between chapters and like sub-chapters. But it's not the idea that you think after each sentence. And here it's really the idea. And also part of Bodhidharma's teaching is to not obsess with the right and correct answer and always understanding everything. So I know I probably asked way too many questions at the same time, but maybe try to answer all of them, if you can.
I will try to answer all of them by not answering them. Yeah.
Very good, very good. And I'm instantly enlightened.
In fact, sometimes the gaps are more important than the words. This is the reason why you find a lot of gaps in the book.
I love that.
Who's Bodhidharma? Bodhidharma is a semi-legendary figure that reportedly spread Buddhism in China. He's a figure that is a person that emphasized instant enlightenment, according to some reports, as opposed to a more gradual approach. He's a person that opposed intellectualizations, which were predominant back then.
Of Buddhism, right? Intellectual.
Right, in the realm of
Buddhism.
In the realm of Buddhism, yeah. And there are lots of interesting stories about Bodhidharma, including the story about Bodhidharma paying a visit to the Shaolin Temple, and every one of the monks were waiting for his sermon. He got onto the stage, and Bodhidharma just remained silent, meditative, and everybody, of course, was outraged by his display.
They would expect a speech, like some enlightenment, like narrative to hear. Yeah,
this perceived display of disrespect,
Right.
However, some reportedly understood that it was exactly the whole point of Buddhism, to go beyond intellectualizations and words, and connecting with the deepest Buddha nature without so many concepts, in a more instantaneous way. At least this is one of the many interpretations, and there are lots of theories about Bodhidharma, and we don't really know much, historically speaking. And more importantly, the Bodhidharma I talk about in the book is not really the historical Bodhidharma. It's more like this fictionalized modern day Bodhidharma.
Right, and he also travels through India mostly.
Right.
Most of the time,
mostly through India, yes.
Yeah.
And the book tries to give, to indirectly give answers to a lot of political, philosophical, and moral conundrums that we encounter today, in a very, I would say, in a very sensationalistic way. And the book tries to portray itself as enigmatic as possible to captivate the attention of the reader, to redirect it into meditativeness.
Awesome.
And yeah.
And what inspired you to write the story?
I would say the disenchantment towards.
What do you mean by that? Disenchantment? What's that? What's the meaning of that word?
well, disenchantment alone doesn't mean anything. Disenchantment towards certain things means a lot of things.
Right.
Disenchantment, for example, towards mal conditions, maladaptive conditions, is very important. We cling to a lot of factors, emotions, feelings, and sensations, pleasures that come and go, factors that are unsatisfactory, fleeting, and really alien to ourselves, and we cling to them, and as a result we suffer.
There was one, sorry to interrupt you, there was one very cool quote in one of the early chapters that I also told my friend about today. I think they talked about feelings and emotions and clinging to them. And then one of the fellows that was after then enlightened by Bodhidharma, he or she said, but I want to possess emotions. I want them. They're amazing. And then Bodhidharma said, how can you possess them if at the first second when they leave you?
Right.
Which is so true. Like, you can say, I want to be happy. I want to be, fulfillment is a different topic, but I want to be happy. I want to be feeling strong and confident about whatever I'm doing. But we all know that feeling that something can come up. A bad day, a bad interaction, a new challenge that you might not feel confident in, and it's immediately gone. So like the expectation of the feeling and the illusion that you can own a feeling is, I think, one of the things that is rejected by Bodhidharma, right? I would say, yeah.
Right. If feelings were the truth, so to speak, they wouldn't make you miserable.
Right. That's interesting. So you would say that the truth doesn't make you miserable. The truth is just a concept, perhaps, even, or it's just the truth itself is just I think from our conversations and even what I read here, is that there's a mechanical nature to the world. So things just happen how they happen. It's kind of a causal relationship from the Big Bang until now. Things happen from A to B to C to D. Of course, there's probably, like, as we talked about earlier, there's probably some quantum mechanics and things do put their play in certain chain of reactions. Chain of actions, you get my point. But in general, it's mechanical. So you kind of have to accept certain things, how they are and how they happen. And is that kind of the truth that you would see there?
Definitely, the fictional Bodhidharma I talk about in the book has a mechanical understanding of the world.
Right.
When we see things more mechanically, something very special happens within us.
Mm-hmm.
We develop a sociological understanding of the world, a more equanimous understanding. We understand things that otherwise would make us very reactive. For example, when you take the case of a serial killer, is doing their best with the damaged brain that they have, no matter how problematic, obviously, this best is. Now, this doesn't mean that we shouldn't do anything to contain the actions of this person. Obviously, we should be proactive and make sure that society is protected by these individuals. But at the same time, if we see the reason why this person became a serial killer, if we see the reasons mechanically, we do not develop the same anger and frustration and that we would otherwise develop with a more emotional understanding.
I see that too. Like you can even without diving into